we on air? We are live. This is it. CX Generation starting now, directly from Israel. I am Karen Kligerman. In this podcast, you will learn in a practical way how to delight and build customer loyalty. And to start, I want to thank two partners that without them, this wouldn't be possible. This third season of the podcast, supported by PeopleXperience, the first free Brazilian persona customer journey mapping and management platform, and supported by Amigos, the largest CX community in Latin America, for you to acquire knowledge, to connect with other professionals, to stay up to date with events, and much more. And the link to all of them is here in the episode description. So let's start. Welcome to CX Generation, the Experience Generation podcast. For the first episode in English, what is customer experience and how did it start? With him, speaker, management advisor, and author of such books as The Experience Economy, Infinite Possibility, Authenticity, and Mass Customization. The father of the term economy experience. Joe Pine, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Karen. It's a pleasure to be with you, wherever you are.
Yeah, I'm here in Israel right now. I'm actually from Brazil, but yeah. So to start our episode today, I wanted you to tell a little bit about you for those who doesn't know you.
Well, as you said, I'm an author, speaker, and management advisor. I've got a technology background with an applied math degree and a master's degree in the management of technology from MIT. I started off at IBM for 13 years, and they sent me to MIT, where I found out I had to do a thesis. So I turned that thesis into my first book on mass customization. And so that was published many years ago. Almost immediately after, I discovered the experience economy. Obviously, I didn't invent it. I discovered the experience economy, that we're shifting into an economy based off of experiences. And I've been talking about that forevermore. And then also wrote, as you said, as a follow-up to that on authenticity, what consumers really want. Also wrote a book on how to fuse the real and the virtual, which is called Infinite Possibility. And so I feel like my purpose in business is to figure out what's going on in the world of business and then develop frameworks to first describe what's happening and then prescribe what companies can do about it. And that's what I've done over and over again through the many books and articles and my work with clients.
Amazing. So it's an honor to have you here. And for our start, I wanted to ask you, what is experience and economy experience?
Well, the experience economy is an economy where, again, experiences have become the predominant economic offering. That what consumers are looking for are experiences. And so we've gone from an agrarian economy based off commodities through an industrial economy based off goods through a service economy. And now we're in the experience economy, where goods and services are no longer enough, where they basically become mere commodities. And so to differentiate themselves, companies have to go beyond the goods and services to staging experiences for each one of their individual customers. Experiences are basically when you use goods as props and services as a stage to engage each and every individual in an inherently personal way, and thereby create that memory, which is the hallmark of the experience.
You basically answered all my questions already, but let's go.
Okay.
No, stay. But let's go to more insight and to explore the experience economy. There is in your book what you define as theme, harmonize impressions with positive cues, eliminate negative cues, mix in memorabilia, and engage in the 5 senses. What does it mean?
So every experience has a theme, right? The theme is the organizing principle for the experience. It's how you decide what's in the experience and what's out of the experience. And sometimes theming gets a bad name because people think it has to be in your face like a theme restaurant, or has to be fantasy like a Disney World or other theme park. But no, it's simply that dominant idea, that underlying logic, and that organizing principle. And so once you come up with that, is you can then intentionally design the experience. And so harmonize impressions with positive cues is about what are the impressions you want your customers to have top of mind when they leave the experience? What do you want them to be thinking about? And then you want those impressions to fulfill the theme. And the positive cues are the design elements you put in your experience, both the physical things as well as what workers do as they interact with customers in that experience, guests being a better term for customer and experiences. And then you have to eliminate negative cues, right? Get rid of all the things that don't fit with that theme, that detract from that theme. They may be fine and good for some other business in the same industry with a different theme or with no theme, because they're really still providing a service, but eliminate those things that don't fit with the theme. And then mix in memorabilia is key, of course, because people always want to take away reminders of the experience that they have, whether that's tickets from a concert or some stuffed doll they bought at a theme park, whatever it might be, is how do you get them to take away these physical reminders that cement the memories in their experience. And today, of course, with the rise of social media, in the latest edition of the book, we talk about the mix in memorabilia and media. Right? How do you get people to want to take pictures, to want to post it on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn for B2B and whatever it might be? But those are often the way we memorialize today, is with the photos that we take and post, as opposed to the physical objects that we take away. And then finally, engage all five senses, because we take experiences in with our senses. And so the more you engage five senses, the more particularly you engage each sense, then the more people are going to experience, and then the more memorable it will be. Again, in today's rise of digital technology, in that you can't always engage all five senses with digital technology, but you can evoke the senses, right? So you can think about engaging or evoking the senses. So those five principles that we went through are the core design principles for staging any experience, and they spell out THEME, right? Theme. So it's a mnemonic that you can understand of theme the experience. T, H, harmonize impressions with positive cues. E, eliminate negative cues. M, mix in memorabilia and media. And then finally, that last D is engage all five senses, or at least evoke the five senses in your experience.
Amazing. Would you say that every experience should have theme, harmonize impressions, eliminate negative cues, mix in memorabilia, and engage the five senses?
Yeah, every experience should absolutely go through that process of determining those five things. And what it does, what theming does, so given it spells THEME, we call it theming, right? What theming does is that it makes your experience cohesive. So it all hangs together. There's nothing that detracts from the experience, or nothing that gets your guests to be thinking of other things. They're always engaged in that experience because of how cohesive it is.
Amazing. I think it's already being clear what is an experience, but let's just defer. What is the difference between experience and a service that you said?
There's a number of distinctions between services and experiences. That services are intangible, experiences are memorable, right? You have to create that memory within each of them. Services are performed on demand, but experiences are revealed over a duration of time, right? Where you're managing that time that they are engaging you. Well, a way to think about it too is as I would have mentioned, because you called me at the beginning the father of customer experience, and I reject that, right? I reject that. Actually, it's what I talk about is not customer experience. Customer experience is more or less a bastardization of what I talk about. Because when people work on customer experience, not always, but almost always, what they think about is, let's make our interactions with customers nice and easy and convenient. And nice and easy and convenient are all well and good, but they're service characteristics. They're not experience characteristics, right? So when you perform CX, is that what you get is great service, right? And nice and easy and convenient are great. That's what people want out of services. But recognize that nice is nice, but rarely does it rise to the level of memorability, right? And again, if you didn't create the memory, they didn't have a true distinctive experience. And we make things easy for our customers. That often means we routinize things for our customers to make it easy to provide service to our customers. And that gets in the way of being inherently personal. Right? Experiences are inherently personal. No two people have the same experience, even if the same place at the same time, because they're different people, because of who they are, because of their mood that day, the different experiences they've had before, and so forth. And so you have to reach inside of people to engage them in that inherently personal experience to create that memory. And then finally, convenience is the antithesis of what I'm talking about. Convenience means let's get in and out as quickly as possible. Let's spend as little time with the customers as possible, when what customers value with an experience is the time they spend with, inside that experience. So time is the key distinction between services and experiences. Services are about time well saved. Do something for me so I don't have to do it myself, right? Time well saved. And in fact, people want both goods and services to be commoditized, to be bought at the lowest possible price and the greatest possible convenience in order to spend their hard-earned money and their hard-earned time on the experiences that they value. So experiences are time well spent, right? Time well spent. What you're selling is the time that customers spend with you. And you engage them so it becomes time well spent. And with that time well spent, it then again creates that memory. So they're very distinctive things, and experiences are built on top of services, just like services are built on top of goods and goods are made out of commodities. So you have to have good services in order to create great experiences. So you think about paying admission at a theme park or other experience, movie tickets, go to a movie, go to a concert, go to a play, go to a sporting event, whatever it might be. You don't want to spend a lot of time on getting into the experience, right? You need great service at that moment so that you can spend more time again in the experience that you're coming there for. So you do need great services, but recognize that CX will never get you a great experience. It'll never get you an engaging, memorable, inherently personal experience, because it is about time well saved, not time well spent.
Amazing what you said. Customer experience is not experience.
Correct.
First. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you for saying that. And just to have more clear, so let's get Disney as an example. They have also customer experience. They work with customer experience. Good experience can have customer experience inside, good services. But they go above that, and they also deliver a good experience to their customers. Is that correct?
Yes. So again, because you have to build on them. Again, you don't want to take 30 minutes to get into the park. You don't want bad transactions when you're buying memorabilia at there. You don't want your food at a restaurant to come out late and cold. Right? All of those things are the service aspects for which CX can do a great job of it. But why people are there is the experience, the distinctive experience, the economic experience. And that's what you major on, and ensuring that the services don't get in the way of that great experience.
Mm-hmm. And also another example that you also say, it's the coffee, that we have the commodity, coffee as a commodity. Then as a good, then you can make your own coffee. Then you can go to a cafeteria and can order a coffee. And you can go to Starbucks and have an experience there. So these are the 4 stages of what we have here. Is it correct?
Yes, that's correct. And the thing to recognize is how much more value you create. Right? That's what we call this, the progression of economic value, that farmers, if you convert the commodity basis, the per pound basis of coffee, the future price of coffee, from a per pound to a per cup basis, farmers get 2 or 3 cents per cup for their beans. Right? That's what they get, 2 or 3 cents. If you buy your coffee in a grocery store where they packaged it, turned it into a manufactured good, grind it, roasted it, so forth, then you get maybe 5, 10, 15 US cents for a cup of coffee. If you go to a cafeteria or a kiosk, a bodega, vending machine somewhere, now you're getting 50 US cents to a US dollar or 2 per cup of coffee. But surround the brewing of that coffee with the ambiance and theater of a Starbucks, where you can buy your cup of coffee and then spend time drinking it, having a coffee drinking experience in the place. Now you're spending 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes more US dollars for that cup of coffee that only has 2 or 3 cents worth of beans in it. Right? So that's the progression of economic value. That's how you can create more value, because customers value it, right? They value though each of these levels in the progression of economic value more highly than the ones underneath it.
And we have also the next step, that is its transformation, right? Yeah. So how did we get to the experience part, and how did we get to the transformation step?
Well, as a society, you mean, it's a natural progression in societies, in companies, as they search for differentiation. Because the problem is, once you're commoditized, where people buy you on price and convenience, then it's hard to get differentiation. And so one of the things, and that's what I discovered with my book, Mass Customization. Mass customization is about efficiently serving customers uniquely, right? Giving everybody exactly what they want, but doing it at a price they're willing to pay. And I recognize that customizing a good, physical good, automatically turns it into an experience. If you look at the economic distinctions, goods are standardized, services are customized, done just for an individual person. Goods are inventoried after production, but services are delivered on demand. And goods are tangible and services intangible, but part and parcel of mass customization is helping customers figure out what it is that they want. So then when you mass customize a good, you're working with the customer on an individual basis, you're defining what it is, they figure out what they want, then and only then do you go make it for them and deliver it to them personally. And so you turn into service. So in the same way, what happens when you customize a service? When you design a service that is so appropriate for this particular person, exactly the service that they want and need, then you can't help but make them go, wow, and turn it into a memorable event. Turn it into an experience. So as companies search for differentiation, as manufacturers become more and more commoditized, they turn to services to help them. As service providers become more and more commoditized, they turn to that experience to be able to create that differentiation and create value in their customers. And then, of course, experiences can be commoditized as well. You know, the experiences may be the easiest economic offering to commoditize, because the second time you have an experience doesn't tend to be as good as the first. The third time, not as good as that. And pretty soon you've got customers saying, been there, done that. Right? That's the hallmark of a commoditized experience. So then, using this heuristic, where customization is the antidote to commoditization. Right? Commoditization is like the law of gravity. If you do nothing else, you will be commoditized over time. Customization lifts you up. Customization differentiates you. So what happens when you customize an experience? When you design an experience that's so appropriate for this particular person, exactly the experience that they need at this moment in time, then you can't help but turn into what we often call a life-transforming experience, an experience that changes us in some way. So this is that fifth and final economic offering, the progression of economic value, where you use experiences as the raw material to guide people to change, to help them achieve their aspirations. And we have a saying in the U.S. that about from one of our founders, Ben Franklin, about being healthy, wealthy, and wise. And any business that's in the business of helping people be healthy, wealthy, or wise is in the transformation business and should consider themselves in the transformation business. That what's important is the outcomes that they get, not the inputs that you do. You know, you go to a hospital because you have some disease, right? The only thing you want is to be cured. You want to finish that disease. That's the outcome. And yet the hospital charges for inputs instead, right? All the procedures that they do, when they may or may not matter, they may not get you the outcome that you want. So it's focusing on outcomes that come out of the transformative experiences that we have. So the transformation economy is hot on the heels of the experience economy. It's actually been there from the beginning. Chapters 9 and 10 of the book, The Experience Economy, talk about transformations. My colleagues and I wrote a Harvard Business Review article on it 2 years ago. And I just started last week to write a new book solely on transformations and on how companies create even greater economic value by helping their customers achieve their aspirations.
Amazing. So it should be the education market, for example, to get the transformation.
Yeah. So education, you know, I like to do it this way is, you know, think about people who go back to get their MBA or their master's degree at some university, right? What are they looking for? What are they paying off in tens or even $100,000 or more for? Well, it's not for the ideas, the commodities of the education business, the university business, because all the professors have the same ideas because they have to publish them, right? They're basically commodities. It's not because of the physical books and other elements of the going to school that you have to buy that you're looking for. It's not for the homework analysis and the the reading of books that your professors assign, the services of it that you're looking for. There is that classroom experience and the overall university experience that yes you are looking for, but that's not solely it. It's actually for the change you want to be when you get out of that MBA degree. So it's about the having new skills, new capabilities, new knowledge, new career, new earning potential, have a different job, be a different person. One person that recognizes the former dean of the London Business School once told Fast Company magazine that we're not in the education business, we're in the transformation business. We expect everyone who participates in the program at the London Business School, whether it's for 3 days or for 2 years, to be transformed by the experience. Right? That's a different mindset. That's a different economic offering. Right? It's focused on the outcomes that people are looking for in education rather on the inputs of what we try and teach them.
Makes sense. And I wanted to know, nowadays that we have this technological world, how can we build an experience inside the internet, inside Instagram, inside Facebook, inside all the social media we have?
Well, a key aspect of it is thinking about how do you offer time well spent, right? Facebook actually uses that term, that they want people to have time well spent. Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, talks about how his main competition is not other streaming services, it's sleep, right? Because people could be sleeping, spending their time in bed rather than watching his service. So how do you get people to value the time that they spend there? So all of the principles for physical experiences apply to virtual experiences. One of the books I wrote, Infinite Possibility, Creating Customer Value on the Digital Frontier, talks about how to create experiences in particular that fuse the real and the virtual. I think those will be the most, the best way to use digital technology, not just to create some virtuality experience where you're totally divorced from reality, but one that fuses them both. Like best example may be Pokemon Go, where you have this digital experience on your phone with all these characters, but it brings you out into the real world, right? You get exercise, you get to see what's going on, and it opens up not just an experience that's between your thumbs and your mind, but it opens up the entire world as the canvas for that experiences. But go through the same theming, right? Recognizing that you have to evoke the senses other than audio visual, but the same principles apply for that. We first came out with the Experience Accounting book in 1999. We updated it in 2011, and we then came out with it again in 2020, 4 years ago, with a new focus on competing for customer time, attention, and money, because that's what all businesses do the world over. They compete for every other business for the three currencies of the experience economy: the time, attention, and money of individual customers. And we then outline or summarize the book with these 5 elements. That you need to create experiences that are robust, cohesive, personal, dramatic, and even transformative. Right? We talked about cohesive. That means theming the experience. You can use that digitally as well. We talked about mass customizing, which is being personal. Well, that's actually easier to do with digital experiences, because anything you digitize, you can customize. Once it enters the realms of zeros and ones, you can instantaneously change a 0 to a 1 and vice versa. So with digital experiences, you need to really major on that aspect of mass customizing your goods and services to create great experiences. We talked about transformative with the transformation experiences. Many experiences or transformative experiences we're looking for are digital. You think about all the apps we have that help us lose weight or get coaching, improve our well-being with mindfulness or with bicycle riding or whatever it might be. I mean, there's tons of ways that you can do that, because with digital technology, you can reach every person where they are any time of day or night and provide that coaching in particular that they desire. The other two are robust and dramatic. So I'll spend a little time talking about those, and you can ask any follow-up questions you want, Karen. But robust is about hitting the sweet spot in the middle of 4 realms of experience. And those are entertainment, educational, escapist, and aesthetic experiences, 4 E's, right? Entertainment, where we passively absorb in the sights and sounds in front of us. Education, where we actively wrestle with the ideas that are presented to us to learn. With entertainment, you do it to enjoy. With educational, to learn. With escapist, it's to go and to do. Actively being immersed in another environment. And then aesthetic experiences, again, aesthetic with an E, not an AE. That's the philosophical study of beauty in English. But aesthetic with an E, which is about passively being immersed in an environment, like a cafe, like Starbucks, like an art gallery, like a museum, like the natural world, right? Being at the beach or being in the forest or in a canyon, whatever it might be. And the best experiences, the most robust experiences, are those that hit the sweet spot in the middle have aspects of all 4 of those realms. And then finally, dramatic experiences are about understanding that when you stage experiences, work is theater. And I don't mean that as a metaphor. I mean work as theater. I literally mean work is theater. That whenever you or your workers are on stage, or whenever your workers are in front of customers, they are on stage and need to act in a way that engages the audience, the customers, the guests of the experience. And it also means you need to have dramatic structure. And this is what I meant earlier when I talked about experience characteristics is revealed over a duration of time. That's managing the time the customers spend with you, right? And dramatic structure is something that rises up to a climax and comes back down again. And so how do you create that dramatic structure in your experience? With many experiences, particularly on digital, and then this is where customer experience then comes into matter. It's like, no, we want to be frictionless, right? Frictionless. Nothing happens with frictionless. Right, rather than having a climax and coming back down, right? It drains the drama out of everything to be nice, easy, convenient, and especially frictionless. So again, great service, but lousy experience because it's not dramatic.
A question that came out in my mind, it's how we as service that aim for a better experience for our clients can charge for our experience.
Well, that's a very good question because you are what you charge for. You are what you charge for. So if you charge for undifferentiated stuff, you're in the commodities business. If you charge for tangible things, you're in the goods business. If you charge for the activities your people perform, you're in the services business. But economically, you're in the experience business if and only if you charge for time. The time customers spend with you, the time well spent. Right now, most businesses, service businesses, when they get into experiences, they give away the experience to better sell the goods and services that they have, right? Starbucks still charges a premium for its coffee rather than explicitly charging an admission fee or a membership fee. But that's what economically gets you an experience. And the question we ask in chapter 3 of the book always is, what would you do differently if you charged experience? So let me give you 2 retail service examples. A gentleman who's now become a friend of mine, Ami Arad, was in the men's store business. He had a great theme, Solutions for the Modern Gentleman. And he read our book to be able to create an experience. And he read this part where he said, well, what would you do differently if you charged admission? And he said, well, I can't do that. I got a retail store. If I charge admission, nobody will want to come. I won't sell as much. So it gnawed at him, though, and he kept thinking about it. And how could you do it? And finally, he hit upon it. He said, what I'll do is I'll create a club and charge a membership fee. So he created a club with basically the same theme, although it's for women, men and women, in San Francisco. He rented out the bottom 2 floors of this old Bank of Italy building for the Wingtip store, and then the top 2 floors for the Wingtip Club that has a full-service restaurant, a bar, a pool table, a cigar lounge, event space. They have all these events during there, and people pay different levels, but at the highest level, they pay a $3,000 initiation fee and $200 per month to belong to the Wingtip Club. And so you go to the store, you buy clothes, you learn about the club, you try out the club, you join the club, guess what? You buy more clothes as well. And the other example I give you, because I was there last week, and it's not a Brazil, but a Portugal example, is there's a bookstore in Porto, Portugal that I visited last week called Livraria Lelo. Livraria Lelo, if I get that right. And it's billed as the most beautiful bookstore in the world. It has this amazing bookcase from the first to second floor. And it said that it inspired J.K. Rowling when she wrote the first Harry Potter. She lived in Porto, and that this bookstore inspired her for the Hogwarts staircase that they had. The problem was, it was so beautiful. People were coming in and taking pictures and filling up the space, and it was too crowded, and few people bought anything. So what did they do is they created an admission fee. They originally put a booth across the street. Then they eventually went to QR codes on your phone, where you originally paid a $3 admission fee just to get into the store. But for those $3, you also can apply them to a book that Livraria Lelo publishes, that you can take off that $3 off the book. So they started selling more books, and they would limit the capacity in the store. Eventually, it was still too much people wanted to get in, so they moved it from $3 to $5. When my daughter went there a couple of years ago, she told me, oh, it was $5. Oh, well, I'd heard $3. Now I went there last week. It's euros. It's €8 to be able to get in again because it was still too crowded, right? It's an amazing thing. They have a capacity of about 200 people in there at one time. They segment like it by half hours, and it's like 50 to 60% of the people actually turn in that voucher for $3 or for $8 now and get it off a book, but 40 to 50% don't turn it in. So that's pure profit that they make off of it, and they sell more books. In fact, before they started doing this in 2015, they only sold, because the place was so crowded, 70,000 books a year. Now they sell 1.2 million and make money off the admission fee. Right. So what admission fee does, it sends a signal that this is a place worth experiencing. So whatever your service is, think about how you would answer that question. What would you do differently if you charged admission? For it's only when you charge admission that you will create an experience worth having.
I get it now. It's not thinking how to create an experience. It's how, if I would think before, how can I charge for my experience? And then I create the experience based on that. How can I charge for that? Amazing. I'm wow here. Really. I wanted to ask you, living in Brazil and seeing how our population is, we have a lot of people that don't have a lot of money. And experience, they're mostly more expensive than other things that we saw. How can we create experience at the same time as we want to? Is it possible? The question is it possible to create experience for people that don't have a lot of money?
Sure, absolutely. So let me preface it by saying that originally, in the agrarian and industrial economy, we were all responsible for our own experiences, right? And just now we pay other people because they can do it better than we can, and we value it more highly. So when I was growing up, for example, Sunday dinner was a very different dinner than the rest of the week, right? You could skip out the rest of the week, but you're expected to be there on Sunday. It was in the afternoon versus the evening. It was a much bigger meal. It was something that you look forward to, right? So this was an experience that my mom basically created for the family every Sunday. You can go to the beach, right? You can in Rio, they got one of the best beaches in the world. And so you could spend your day there and have an experience without paying anything. And then there are also experiences still that companies stage, but don't charge for. Example is in the US, and I'm guessing you have them in Brazil, but you can tell me, is McDonald's Playlands, right? McDonald's.
I don't know.
All right. So many McDonald's have Playlands in them. So it's a little kid's gym, right? With bouncy balls and slides. Right. So you can go buy a meal, but spend 2 hours, let your kids play for 2 hours. Right. So it's not a real admission fee, but you got to buy the meal to be able to do that. So every socioeconomic level desires experience today, and there's opportunities to create that for them. Another example that occurs to me is in Colombia, they have the Colombia Coffee Growers Association, which used to advertise in the U.S. a lot with this character, Juan Valdez. And Juan Valdez was your prototypical farmer who grew coffee in Colombia, right, and then sold it into the U.S. Through the Coffee Growers Association. So they created Juan Valdez cafes. So they recognize, hey, Starbucks is controlling coffee consumption in the world. Let's create our own cafes where we can only sell coffee and only sell our own Colombian coffee. And they charge less than Starbucks does, for creating great experience. They have some in the U.S., or at least did, but many of them in Colombia itself. In Mexico City, a wonderful company created what was originally called Kidzania, a kids experience. They retail. No, it was originally called Ciudad de los Niños, right? Kids City. Then they called it Kidzania. And it's a wonderful experience. And speaking of admission fees here, kids pay full price, parents get in for half price, and grandparents get in for free, right? It's the exact opposite of what you would normally think. And it's a wonderful experience where the theme is play adult roles. You get to play all these different roles. You get to be a pilot on an airplane. You get to deliver babies in a hospital. You can be a scientist. You can be an archaeologist. They have 60, 70 different roles that you can do, and including shaving people's faces or doing their hair and so forth. And so it's a great experience for kids, and they've now exported around the world, but they specialize in non-developed countries, right? In countries that don't have the resources that the United States or many countries in Europe do. They went to Jakarta, and they went to Kuala Lumpur, places in the Middle East as well, where there is a lower socioeconomic environment, so they can be the experience that parents and schools also want to bring their kids to. So again, just whatever environment you're in, think about where you can create a great experience that people have the wherewithal to pay for the experience that they get.
I have a lot of questions to ask you still, but let's go to the last question. You wrote the book and you published the book, The Experience Economy, in 1999. It was some time ago. I wanted to ask you, is it still actual?
Yes. So there's basically nothing I would change in the book. Even after when we updated in 2011, we didn't change anything in terms of any ideas, principles, or frameworks. We added some examples. We added some new frameworks to it. And there are many more new frameworks and new ideas and new principles and new ideas that I know now that if I were to write it over again, I could put in there. But there's nothing that's been invalidated. But I would encourage people to, if they want to learn more, is they can go to our website at strategichorizons.com. And I have thoughts posts there. I just published one yesterday on how customers don't want choice. So every once in a while, publish thoughts posts. There's access to all these articles that we have, as well as our offerings and so forth. So, and follow me on LinkedIn at Joe Pine, where you can keep up to date with what I'm thinking and so forth as well.
I used to say that customer experience, economic experience is something that it's new, but it's not new. It's something that already existed from before. I agree with you that the book for me also, it's very actual, and thank you. I wanted to ask you if you want to leave any contacts to people to contact you other than your LinkedIn and your books, and if you have any more contacts.
Yeah, the LinkedIn's the easiest way to contact me directly. If you go on our website, again, at strategichorizons.com, there's also a contact page where you can also get our quarterly Field Notes newsletter. So you can keep up to date by signing up for that, getting some of the latest articles. It always has a podcast of me on there, as well as latest article that I or my partner Jim Gilmore have written, or one that and then others that we think highlight what's going on in today's experience economy. I'm also, probably at the end of this quarter, creating a new membership offering on transformations, where people can become a member of a group that will get access to all of my writing on the new book and be able to give me feedback and help make the book better, and then get a signed copy of the book as well.
Really nice. And that's it. Here we finish. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and the experience we had in this podcast. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. It was a pleasure to be with you. Loved your questions.